Hi guys, and welcome to Python tutorial of a shuffle game. Right, let me start by showing you guys how this works. So what you guys will notice underneath here, the amount of click is being recorded, and there's a timer as well. So if you want to create something like this, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you how to put one of these together, and you guys will just take it from there. Okay, so let's start a new project entirely. Alright, so click on that to reset. I'm going to exit out, and the system asks you to confirm if you want to exit. There we go. So I'm going to first of all start by importing the following libraries. There, we need those libraries. Okay, if you notice the random, that's used to sort out the buttons and for timer as well, and this is just for the message box. Alright, so let's start by defining my class. I'm going to call that class number shuffle. There we go, number shuffle game. Then I'm going to create function, and this function is going to be, let's say, is going to be self. Now I'm just going to call that master instead of root. Yeah, let's change it to master. There we go. And now self.master is going to have the following. So drop that down, and that is going to be master. Okay, that'll be equals master. There. Next, I'm going to enter a title. So I'll say self.master.title. I'll just give that a name. Place that in there. Let's say dot title, and that is going to be equals. I'm just going to call that shuffle game. So might as well just copy this here. Number shuffle. Place that in there. There we go. That's sorted. Next is for me to define my geometry. So grab all of this and dump this here. So the geometry that will define the size of my game. The geometry, I'm going to make that about, let's go for 620. We'll say by 1 by 800. There. So as the height and the width. Okay. The next thing is I will prevent the user from able to resize it. So let's say self.master.resize, that is going to be resizable. That will be false. So comma false again. So what that means is you won't be able to resize it, the width, and you won't be able to resize the height. Next, let's kind of like give it background color. So let's say self.master. Let's configure that. That will be equals VG. That's going to be equals the following. Let's just make that F0, F0. Yeah, that's fine. Close that and get rid of this. It should be hash. Okay, get in somewhere. All right. Next, I'm going to now define my numbers that I intend to use. So I'm just going to put those in a list box. So let's say self dot number numbers, and that is going to be it for us. We put it in a list, and let's say the range is going to be between 1 and 16. 1 comma 16. There we go. So the appended value, I make that 0. So that will represent the empty space, empty slot. Okay, let's correct this number. So let's say set dot numbers dot append 0. So that represents the empty space. Now I'm also going to create another variable. I'll just call that self dot shuffle board. I will put together something for the shuffle. Okay guys, you see with this my shuffleboard, I'm actually going to use that. It's going to be a function that will be used to call the order of the random numbers. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So let's enter, or let's create that function first. Right there guys, that is the shuffleboard function. I had to speed that up. Okay, so that's the function that will be called to shuffle the buttons. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a button. I'll call that set.button. I will actually use that to initialize an empty list that will store reference to TK buttons. So let me do that so that we can generate all of the buttons. But before that, let me save this thing first. File, save as. And I'm just going to call it shuffle game YT. Save. Okay, now that that is saved, so I'm going to round it up and just try it out. So let's come down here. Okay, so that's it. So now it's rounded up. Let's try it and see if that is going to work. You should be able to just create the form for me. There we go, look at that. Okay, that's fine. So let's do one more thing here. So right up here, I'm now going to just create the following. So right there, I'm going to say, let's say self dot buttons, and that is going to be equals there. So the whole idea is for that to initialize an empty list that will store reference to the TK buttons. And next, I'm going to say self dot create dot click, self dot click, and let's give that a value, initialize that with 0 value. So that we initialize a counting of the number of movements. Okay, then next I'm going to go for the timer. This is self dot start timer underscore timer, and that's going to be none now. Now repeat the same thing for the. I'm going to create another one. I'll call that self.running a timer. Okay, self. Yeah, let's copy this. Let's paste it. Self dot running timer. Okay, all right. So let's say this is going to be false. There. Let's save that and just run it and see. Yeah, still on the right path. That's good. Next, I'm going to create a function that I will use for my widget. Let's add that very function here. And I'll call that create widget. Create underscore widget. There. So in there, I should have all my widgets. There we go. And the very first one is going to be for the title. So I can just call that self.title. And this is going to be the title anyway. So I will love that. Come right down here. So self.title, take that off there. And that is going to be a label. So might as well say underscore label. And that is going to be equals tk dot label. That's the widget that I'm using. Okay, and this widget will be a child of master. Paste that in there, and I'm just going to put a comma there. Next is going to be the title itself, which I already have, equals that. And next, I will then enter fonts. Let's say the font that's going to be equals the area. Area that we do, and we can make that about 24. And make it bold as well. There we go. That should be comma. Right. So I'm going to also define the color for the font, the back color. First of all, let's say that is going to be F0, F0, F0. Close that, comma. And the color for the font itself is going to be, let's go for all threes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There, close that. And let's run this. So I'm going to say self dot title underscore label dot calc, and that is going to be, let's give it about calc to vertical. That's going to be about 20. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to try this out. Let's save that. Then I'll create a frame for it. Alright, okay, I actually need to call my, I need to call that. Okay, let's call this function, copy that, and I'm just say self. Then I'll be self dot there, and enter parentheses for that. Now with this, we can then try it out. Okay, I've just call this function now. So let's run it and see. So I should be able to see the title in there. There we go, look at that. Okay, next I'm going to I want to add a frame here where I will enter or add all my buttons. So let's come right underneath here as well. So let's add a frame. I'm going to grab hold of this and delete some stuff that I don't need. In the first place, the widget is a frame, so let's change this to a frame. There we go. And this frame we can just call it maybe board frame, yeah, something like that. Change all of this, board underscore frame, there, that's the name. Random board underscore frame here as well. Next, I don't need the title, get rid of that, and I don't need this as well. Get rid of all of this. Next, the background. Let's change that to grayish. Yeah, all grays. Then add a border. That's going to be about 5, comma, and relief. I'm going to make that equals widget. There we go. Okay, so get rid of this. I don't need that. And that is that done. Yeah, I think I'm done with the frame though. Yeah, let's change this to about 10. Alright, let's try this frame out. It should work. And run. There we go. Okay, I can't see my frame yet. Okay, to get the frame on board, let's add the buttons. So let's come right here. I'm just going to use a folder for that for I in range. And that is going to be 4 by 4, right? Yeah, 4 column. Now I'm going to come right down here. Let's go down and just specify the row underscore button underscore buttons. Yeah, and that is going to be equals, let's say tk dot button. Let's enter button. Okay, now this button is going to be a child of the frame. There is that in there, comma, and text. I'm going to say text will be empty for now. That's good, we're getting somewhere. What about the fonts? Let's grab all of these fonts. Paste that there. And I'm gonna make that maybe about 30. There we go. And the width. I think maybe I should, let's say about, let's say 4. I can always change that. But let's see how that's gonna look like. Then the height, I'm gonna make that about 2 as well. Equals 2. For my border, I'm gonna make that 2 as well. Move 2. Okay. Right. We're getting somewhere now. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. And we'll come out here. Relieve. I'm going to get that raised. Relieve. That's going to be equals. Let's raise it up. Yeah. Formula. Okay. I think that is for the button, but let's round up this button as well here underneath here. So I can come down here and just round it off for now. So there's a button grade equals this. Okay. Alright. I just, oh, that's going to be for my Okay, width and height. I'm gonna copy this, paste this in here. So if that's gonna be for the width and height, I might as well grab hold of this and just let me just correct this error quick. If you guys have the same thing, just make sure that is amended. I'm gonna get rid of this. I just call it button. Yeah, and I'll get it sorted anyway. Yeah, yeah, okay, that is fine for now. Now I want to now close up this bare button here. So underneath here, I'm gonna say button, place button dots grid equals row I. First row equals I. This very one here, and this one should be J. I'm gonna call that J, right? Okay, and the second one, which is going to be a column, that is going to be equals J. Okay, for your information, for I and for J. Okay, you'll make that error. Next, I'm now going to get a pack. So I'm going to pack it both left and both vertical and horizontal. So the horizontal, I'm going to make that X. So just put 5 in there. Vertical, we make that about 5 as well. There we go. Okay, looking good so far. Yeah, get rid of this, get rid of this. Okay, now the buttons in a row. So grab hold of this and get it to append the buttons right underneath here. We'll say dot append, and that is going to be the button. Append the button. Yeah, append the button. Let's get rid of that. So okay, let's just say append the buttons. Append the buttons. All right, that is fine. Then I'm going to say self dot buttons. Okay, self dot buttons dot buttons dot append the row. Copy, paste, append the row. Is that right here? Okay, self dot buttons, append the rows. Okay, if that button works, I should then be able to see the frames as well. So I'm going to run it. Run, because the button is a child of the frames. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so I have all my buttons in place. This background seems to be a bit dark. Right, so maybe I should change it to, let's go for F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try it out and see. I should be a little bit pronounced. I can always, yeah, okay. Okay, that looks more like, yeah. Okay, then we'll leave that there like that. Okay, guys, I'm going to create another frame here that I will use to display some information. So let me copy this frame, copy that, and paste it right underneath here. There we go. And I'm just changing the name. I'm going to call it information frame or info frame. There we go. And repeat the same thing here. info frame, information frame, and this information frame is inside the master as well. I can just leave these as zeros, 0, 0, and 0. Okay, if I don't like it, I can always change the color. Alright, that's information frame. And now I'm going to create labels. Let's grab all of these labels. I will need about 2 of those. Paste this here. And this very label is going to be a child of this information frame. Paste that right in here. There. And the text on this very label, let's just change it to click colon 0. And the font, change that to about 16. Yeah, that will do. Okay, the same color might do. And let's change this to something a little bit darker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something a bit lighter actually. Right, that is the label. And this very label, let's put it in a grid. So let's look for a grid there. I'm gonna grab a hold of all of this and just change it around, copy that, and write it. Nope, here. Just I think I should change. I will change the name anyway to click. Yeah, click, and change this to click as well. I almost get confused with what I'm doing here. Okay, change that to click. That's fine. And the value of this will be 0, and this will be 0 as well. And let's get it back about 20. Yeah, there. So that is that done. We're gonna need another one to the left. Fit. Okay, I'll call that the timer, the one that will take care of the timer. So I can just copy this, paste it there, change the name around what will be the name. I'm going to call that timer label, timer label, and this is timer label as well. Okay, timer label will be on the same row, but the column will be 1. There. Now, what about the value in here? We can change that to timer, and that will be column. 0, no, do that. 0, 0, column 0, 0. Alright, yeah, let's try this one out and see how it's going to work. Let's run. Yeah, look at that. Okay, but I don't want this border. Let's get rid of that border. I don't want the border I don't want the border to be displayed. Let's go back to the right here. You see where it says border 5? Get rid of that. Run. Just leave it plain. There. Okay, so let's add a button underneath here. I will use that button for resets. So for button, I can just grab hold of this button here, grab hold of everything here, and we can always change it around as well. And come right down here and paste that here for the buttons. Paste. Okay, for the button, I'm going to call it self. self dot, and it's going to be a child of let's call that the master. Yeah, I can make it a child of the master. Yeah, right there. This one should have self as well. Okay, that is for the button. In this case of the button, it has to be tagged, and maybe about 15, and get rid of all of this. Okay, there should be text in there, so that will be reset here. Font, I'm not going to make that 30, make it about 14. And I will get rid of this height and so on. Yeah, make this about 2 or 3. Yeah, that will do. Okay, do I want to raise it? Yeah, leave it like that. Now, button resets. I want to call it button underscore reset. Button underscore reset. Button underscore reset. And this is button underscore reset as well. Yeah, I think it's done. Let's try it out. If there's any error, I can always correct that. Yeah. Okay, unindented. Let's come in and just get that run. There we go. And that is my reset button right there until I enter a command. Okay guys, the interface is ready there. All we then need to do now is to put together a function for the operations. So let me show you guys the lines of codes. Have a good look at it. And let's take it down so that you can see it. And down there. So run it one more time. I'm going to exit out and let's add text to the buttons. So I'm going to come right down here, right underneath the shuffle board. So let's create another function. I'm just going to call it, let's see, we can just call it maybe update, something like that. Yep, update will do. Update underscore buttons. There we go. And that is going to be self. Okay, let's enter column there. There. Next, I'm going to convert the ID list to 2D. So let's come right down here and just say grill. Grill, that will be equals save dots number, this very one up here. Okay, that's what I'm addressing now. So next, it's going to arrange them 4 by 4. Okay, J will be 4 and I will be 4 as well. Okay, I'm now going to come right down here using a for loop again. Then I'll say for the range, let's grab hold of all of these instead of typing all over. Paste that right here. And I'm going to make that range 4. There we go. And let's just change that to R. Instead of I, I'm going to change it to R. And let's create another one for our colon C. Okay, right, that would be for the vertical one. Next, I'm going to then say button underscore value, and that is going to be equals the grid itself. What do we have in the grid is going to be R and C. There we go. And let's use a for loop now. No, an if statement. I mean, if button value if the value equals 0, I want the button set dot buttons dot buttons, and that is going to be R and C dot get it config. What do we have in there? Text. That is going to be nothing. BG color, background color, that is going to be maybe light blue or sky blue, something like that. So that would be, let's go for E. E0, E0, E0. Yeah, E0. Okay, let's close that up. Else. Else, this is what I want the system to do. So what will that be? This is going to be what? Let's grab all of these. Config, and the text is going to be what? So I'm just going to grab all of this now and just change it around. Paste that in there. Okay, config, and the text will be equals string, and let's enter the button value in here. Button underscore value, and the color. Now let's change this to maybe something ADD. It's in 6. Right. Okay, let's go for the font color then. Font color, background color is this. Font color, let's say FG, that's going to be equals. I'm gonna make that 00088 D. Yeah, let's try that. Why not? Okay, and that's it. So let me see if it's gonna work. But first of all, I have to call this up there. Copy and go right up here. Yeah, let's call it here. That's gonna be self dot paste. There we go. Alright, let's see. I'm gonna call it now. I've already called it. Let's run it. Right, let's see. Indentation. Okay, let's get it sorted. Select it on, and I'm just gonna hold on to the control, bring it back, and do that again. Yeah, let's see. It should work. Let's try it. Oh, okay. Let's see the column. Now the column here. Run that. Alright, look at that, guys. I have all my numbers in place. Now I'm going to need another function that I can use to drive this. See, You see how the button is shuffled. Let's close that to run it again and see what's going to happen when I run it one more time. Look at that. Okay. So I also want to do one thing. When I click on this, I should be able to shuffle it around. Okay, brilliant. We're getting somewhere. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do now is for us to be able to find a space. So underneath here, let me just copy all of this. I'm going to call that find a space and I should just change it around. I'll just copy the last function that I had. Alright, so let's change this to find empty space. Find underscore empty underscore space. Yeah, that will do. So I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't need that. I just need the for loop. Okay, and get rid of this as well. Yeah, then I need to use if button. Actually, if button. Okay, so get rid of all of this. Bring this there. If self dot button, we have those in array. But instead of config, that will become cgets. Yeah, that's the text, and the text this time around is nothing. Okay, so let's say text is nothing then. Then the text that will be equals empty. There we go. In that case, I want you to return rc. Okay, let's just say return rc c. And all of these here, I'm just gonna get rid of them. There we go. Delete. Right. Underneath here, I'm just gonna say return -1. Yeah. Return -1, comma -1. There we go. Alright, so next I'm going to create another function. I'll call that click button. This click button will take in the argument self. Let's say I'll just call that click underscore button, and that's taking in self as an argument, comma r, comma c. And if not set dot runtime. So if not set dot runtimer, which is right underneath it, right up here. Yeah, and let's grab all of this as well. Okay, if not set dot runtime, in our case, we now want set dot start time. There, and let's create. We also click. I'm going to call that click value, click value, and that is going to be equals inside the button. So insert Okay, that will be integer this and this. So grab all of that. So let's say int self dot buttons. That's in a bracket. Self dot button gets the for loops and the however, if it's empty, we want something else to happen. So I'm gonna grab hold of all of this using if statement. If self dot buttons, if that is not equals, then else that will be 0. Just end that. Okay, so I could just say mtr and mtc. Okay, let's empty those ones. Mtr and mtc. Empty underscore r, comma, empty underscore c, and that is going to be equals that. So self dot find empty space. There we go. Okay, and right underneath here to speed that up, these lines of code is to check if the button is adjacent to the empty space. Okay, that's what this is for. And this one, that's it. That would be for the vertical adjacent spacing. This would be for the horizontal adjacent spacing as well. Right, and underneath here, okay, I have to swap the value in the inner number or the inner number. This is where that's taken care of. So have a good look at that. Alright, now that is done, let's do one more thing. I'm going to just enter the click, the check win and the timers and updates. So let's come right in and do that. Now it's going to speed that up as well. Okay guys, I had to speed up the code because it's taking too long. And here this is going to be the win, the function that will check the win. And right underneath here I also have function for the timer. Then I have the update timer function, stop timer, resets, and I also have just to close the form there. Okay, those are all of the lines of code. So we need to then call this click button inside the command, because if I go in there now and just run it, nothing will happen. You see that? So let's call that very function. Let's go straight to the button. That's right here, button widget there. So I'm gonna call that in there using lambs there. There we go. Okay, so we also have to call that of resets. So this is the lines of code I call the click. Then let's grab that of reset as well. Reset. Let's look for the reset button. Yeah, there we go. That's the reset button. So I'm going to call that. Let's just enter command in there. Command that will be equals self dot reset. All right, that is taken care of. So let's save and run. So click on the button. Okay, we have an error. Let's see. Clicks. Now that will be line 39. Let's check what I have in there first. And this. Okay, the variable that I call clicks is right up here. Let's go back here. Oh look, I call it click. I should put an S because I have a lot of clicks in there. Let's run it one more time. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Let's exit out and run it properly. Run. There we go, guys. See that? That is how it works. Okay, it's working how we expect it to work. The good news is look at the timer and look at the clicks, the amount of clicks. Right. Unlike the previous one that I did years ago. But this one is more advanced, although it does require a lot of coding. Yeah, but it's much better. Alright. Okay, what is left for us to do now? If I exit out, that goes. So I want my exits. You see this exit command here? I want to be able to call it so that it will actually prompt the user to confirm if they want to exit or not. So what I'm going to do right up here, I'm going to call my command here. Let's paste this there first. It's a self.master. Paste it right underneath here. Dot protocol. Okay, and that is going to be WM underscore delete underscore window. Yeah, close that, comma, and I'm going to say self dot on close. There we go. We'll close that up, and anytime I click on exit, the system should ask me to confirm if I want to exit or not. Check this out. You see that? No, I don't want to exit. Yes, I do want to exit. Okay, we need to try the reset button. Let's come in here, just play around with this, and we click on the reset button. Okay, the reset button is not working. Let's see why. Okay, clicks. Okay, let's go into line label. Click label 163. Let's go down. Let's see what do I call it here. Go right down 163. Clicks. Call it clicks. Label. Let's take that as off and run it and see. I just want to see. If not, I'm going to have to reset it. Alright, the reset is working. Check that out, guys. So before I go, let me show you guys the lines of code. You take it from the top, guys. Right, and just bring it right down. Remember, channel members, you can always just send me a message and I'll send this code to you for these channel members. And you guys can also join to become a channel members. And I bring it down so that you see the rest of the codes. That's good. As a shuffle, take it down. Update the button. Check out the empty spots. Click button. There. You can always pause the video. Win, and this is what will be displayed once you win. There we go. Alright, so that is it. Like I said, this is what will be displayed if you win. So I'm going to run it. Now just play it. Maybe even I'll speed up the playing though. Okay, so there we go. I want that message to be displayed. So I'm going to do that. And I will just speed it up and get back to you guys. Okay, I'm almost there. So let's just to make sure the winner's message shows up. There we go, look at that. Congratulations, you have solved the puzzle. Okay guys, so with that I'm gonna call it the end of this brilliant tutorial. Suppose you guys enjoy it, and please do subscribe to my channel, and you can also join to become a member of the channel. You all have a nice day now, and bye for now.